The night shift at the small coastal hospital had always been unpredictable, but no one expected it to become the center of a national-level mystery. Rain tapped softly against the windows while the emergency room lights buzzed overhead. Inside the nearly empty corridor, a young nurse named Emily Carter moved quickly between patient charts and IV stands, doing her best to keep up with the chaos that often came with midnight emergencies. Emily was only 24, a rookie nurse who had been working at Harborview Regional Hospital for less than 6 months. She was known among the staff as kind, careful, and maybe a little too brave for someone still learning the ropes. But on that night, bravery would cost her everything, at least for a few hours. It began when a convoy of black SUVs pulled up outside the emergency entrance without warning. Security guards rushed to the doors as several men in dark suits stepped out, scanning the surroundings like they were protecting a head of state. Behind them, 2 medics hurried a stretcher inside. On it lay a tall man in a military uniform, pale and unconscious, his chest rising slowly as oxygen hissed through a mask. The badge on his uniform revealed his rank immediately: Colonel Daniel Whitaker, United States Army. The name alone carried weight. Even nurses who didn't follow military affairs recognized it. Rumors spread instantly through the ER like electricity. A VIP patient had arrived and something was very wrong. Doctors gathered around the stretcher while security agents tried to keep everyone at a distance. The hospital director arrived within minutes, speaking urgently with the men in suits. "Only the chief physician will handle this case," one of the agents said firmly. "No unnecessary personnel." The atmosphere grew tense. The colonel's heart monitor showed irregular rhythms, and the doctor ordered immediate tests. Emily watched from a few feet away, holding a tray of supplies. She knew she wasn't supposed to step in, but she also noticed something the others seemed to miss. The colonel's hand twitched slightly, and the rhythm on the monitor spiked again. The doctor assumed it was simply a reaction to the medication they had given him during transport, but Emily had seen that pattern before during her training. Something about the color of the colonel's fingertips and the faint tremor in his wrist suggested a neurological reaction rather than a simple cardiac issue. She hesitated. A rookie nurse interrupting a room full of senior doctors and government security agents was not exactly a career-friendly move. But then the colonel's breathing suddenly became shallow. Emily stepped forward without thinking. "Doctor, wait," she said quietly but urgently. The room froze. One of the agents turned toward her immediately. "Step back," he ordered. But Emily had already reached the stretcher. She gently lifted the colonel's wrist, checking his pulse and pressing lightly near a nerve point just below his thumb. The doctor frowned. "Nurse, you were told." Before he could finish, the colonel's body jerked slightly and the monitor alarm started ringing louder. The agent grabbed Emily's arm. "You were instructed not to touch the patient." "I'm trying to help him," she replied. The doctor looked furious. "Get her out of here." Within seconds, Emily was escorted into the hallway while another nurse took her place. The doors shut behind her with a heavy thud. Inside the room, the medical team continued working, but the damage had already been done in the eyes of hospital administration. A rookie nurse had touched a high-ranking military officer without authorization. The hospital director confronted her immediately. "What were you thinking?" he demanded. "He's having a neurological reaction," Emily said, trying to explain. "His pulse pattern." "That's not your decision to make," the director snapped. "You ignored a direct order and interfered with a restricted patient." The agents from the convoy stood nearby, watching silently. Emily tried to speak again, but the director had already made up his mind. "You're suspended immediately, effective now." The words hit her like a punch to the chest. Within 15 minutes, her ID badge was taken and she was escorted to the staff lounge to collect her belongings. Other nurses watched quietly, unsure what to say. Emily felt embarrassed, angry, and terrified all at once. She kept replaying the moment in her mind, wondering if she had just destroyed her career for nothing. Meanwhile, inside the emergency room, Colonel Whitaker's condition continued to decline. The medication they had initially administered wasn't stabilizing him the way they expected. His heart rhythm remained unpredictable and his breathing grew weaker. The doctor ordered another round of tests, but the results were confusing. One of the medics who had transported the colonel spoke up hesitantly. Before we left the base, he complained about numbness in his hands. The doctor frowned. That doesn't match the symptoms we're seeing. Another spike sounded on the monitor. The agents exchanged worried looks. Whatever was happening, time was running out. Back in the staff lounge, Emily sat quietly staring at the floor. Her locker was open, but she hadn't started packing yet. She kept thinking about the colonel's pulse pattern, the faint tremor, the strange discoloration in his fingertips. It reminded her of a case she had studied during a training seminar about rare nerve agent exposures. The instructor had emphasized that early signs were subtle and easily mistaken for cardiac distress. Her heart suddenly began racing. If she was right, the treatment they were giving the colonel could actually make things worse. But she had already been fired. Emily grabbed her phone and opened her training notes, searching quickly. The symptoms lined up almost perfectly with what she remembered. At that exact moment, down the hall, the emergency room alarms suddenly went silent. For a brief second, the hospital corridor felt eerily still. Then the overhead phone at the nurse's station rang. The receptionist answered, her voice calm at first, but within seconds her expression changed dramatically. "Yes, sir? Yes, he's here. I understand." Her eyes widened. "I'll transfer you to the director immediately." Moments later, the hospital director rushed into his office to take the call. "Harborview Regional, this is Director Langley speaking." A deep voice on the other end responded calmly. "This is the United States Department of Defense. Put the nurse named Emily Carter back on duty immediately." The director blinked in confusion. "I'm sorry, who is this?" "The Pentagon." Silence filled the office. The voice continued. "Colonel Daniel Whitaker was exposed to a classified compound during a military operation. Only a handful of medical personnel in the country have completed training on its early neurological indicators. According to our records, Nurse Emily Carter attended that training program during her internship." The director's face went pale. "Did she touch the colonel?" the voice asked. "Yes," he admitted slowly. "Good," the voice replied, "because if she recognized the symptoms, she might be the only person in that hospital who knows how to keep him alive." The director felt a cold chill run down his spine. He slowly put the phone down and rushed out of his office. Down the hall, Emily was just closing her locker when the director burst through the lounge doors. "Nurse Carter," he said breathlessly. Emily looked up, expecting another reprimand. Instead, the director said something she never expected to hear. "You need to come back to the emergency room, right now." "Why?" she asked. He swallowed hard. "Because the Pentagon just called, and they specifically asked for you." Within seconds, Emily was running back toward the ER doors, her heart pounding louder than the hallway alarms. Inside the room, Colonel Whitaker's monitor showed a dangerously unstable rhythm. Doctors stepped aside as Emily approached the stretcher again. The entire room watched in silence, because suddenly the rookie nurse who had just been fired might be the only person who could save him.